Pardon me. Well, hello again to all you fine people and who you want to be and see yourself as. My name is Sam and I welcome you once again to the newest episode of Weird Mind Newsroom, where of course this week we are talking a selection of new releases, trailers and some news stories of all parts of the entertainment industry that we have gotten over the last few days that may have forgotten about or missed about this week. So let's dive in and discuss all things media that this week has to offer. Coming in as our first new release of the week is All Those Theatre Kids at Heart, and for those that like to be weirded out of the very strange and unsettling press tour of these two lead stars. You can't tell me their interviews are normal and just make the appeal of the project a little less in this aspect. Or in the case they had the chance to fly originally, but what of those that are judged for unseen reasons can really be shown and can be changed for the better. But that is what we will see as of now, as with the release of the all-new second half of the overstretched adaptation with Wicked for Good. And a new film falls on for part 1. Elphaba, now demonized as the Wicked Witch of the West, now lives exiled in the Ozian forest, continuing to fight for the silent animals and show the corruption of the wizard. Meanwhile, Glinda is living as a symbol of goodness, in some regards, in the Emerald City and taking the perks of fame and popularity and under the instruction of Madame Morrible to try and be seen as a comfort for the realm of concern of the citizens of the land. Now haunted by the separation of her close friend and her planned wedding to Fiyero, with her trying to find a way to broker a deal between the opposing sides but possibly driving them further apart, we need to come together for one more time to change things for good against the lies of the wizard, the rising mob, and changes for some fellow Ozians before a girl from Kansas comes crashing into their lives for everyone. Now reception on this second half is a bit more underwhelming compared to the likes of the first part, where they claim what the original had, but it's still decently received with praise the two leading ladies once again, the sets and attire and music take on the original songs from the stage play, and the new additions, though must feel is a bit more messier in some scenes, its editing, its pacing and lighting. Now that's the consensus of the second half of the musical is in general, where it's not as good as the first part. Then there's all this talk recently of possibly a part 3 another project in the universe. Those weird interviews will never end. But besides all that, if you want to see what looking for hope to be changed for good, you can do so now in cinemas. But if a pair of witches is not really your interest and you would much prefer something that is a bit more over the top and action packed that originally was a bit more of a sleeper hit, then you are thankfully in luck, as a surprise sequel to the 2023 Finnish World War II action film has garnered itself another over the top action flick, as we receive the release of the sequel to Sisu with Road to Revenge. Now set in 1946 in Soviet occupied Korea, we see Atomic Korpai, or the man that refuses to die, dismantle the home of his family that were killed in the war, load onto his truck and become determined to rebuild it somewhere more safe in their honor. However, when the Red Army discover Korpai's arrival on their soil, Igor Dragunov, the man responsible for killing his family, comes back hell-bent on a mission to kill the legendary soldier by any means necessary. Now reception on this follow-up, like the original, has seen some very strong acclaim with praise for all-out bloody action and entertaining kills that will leave you hungry for more if the likes of recent action film affair did not appeal to you too much. If you want to see this one-man machine against an army, you can catch this new film also out now in cinemas. Moving onto television, and for the films of the tabletop RPGs, then you may be in for something good and special, as while the original story of Campaign 1 may be still working its way to completion. Just like any good D&D that takes some time to complete and find their rhyme for good schedules will be the big question. It looks like we're jumping into the future and about to dive into the lore and story of the second campaign based on the games and legacy of Critical Role, as it released the series that's known as The Mighty Nine. Now set 20 years after the events of Vox Machina, the series takes place on Wintermount and follow a group of misfits with troubled past and secrets who find them drawn to one another in some strange circumstances, where they will soon become entangled in a larger conflict and must work together to save the realm after a powerful arcane relic known as the Beacon falls into the wrong hands. Now reception on this new series has seen some great acclaim and praise the retelling of the popular story campaign from Critical Role, the appealing of animation and designs, and for new characters and appealing stories to root for over the next series. If you want to check it out for yourself, then you can catch the first 3 episodes now on Amazon Prime, with a new episode releasing every Wednesday. On to games now, and it is time to start your engines. Prepare to do battle, as you will be soon gliding across the sky in fast-paced battle on strange-shaped devices, as everyone's favorite round pink creature with a powerful consumption is looking to race and prove who is the best, as with the release of the long-awaited sequel to the classic racing title, the release of Kirby Air Riders. Now this will be essentially a long-awaited sequel to the original game that was released back on the GameCube that will show it much more bigger, faster, crazier, and a possible lot more fun in terms of new modes, challenges, and characters to play across this fast-paced new form of racing game. Now reception on this new entry of the series has seen some very overseas reception, with praise on the gameplay, its controls, its modes, story, and for being an unexpected appealing racing title in this series that I'm sure may put the other big racer of the new hardware and the mustachioed man into competition. If you want to play it for yourself now, it is available to play right now on Nintendo Switch 2. Our second game of the week will be going for a fast-paced racing adventure to a more undersea seeing adventure In the case of everyone's favorite sea sponge and starfish about to go on an adventure that is more of a Titan-sized scale, as with the release of the all-new somewhat follow-up to the Cosmic Shake with the release of SpongeBob SquarePants Titans of the Tide. Seen as a spiritual sequel to that game, the game will see you clashing with the ocean's two biggest egos, as King Neptune and the Flying Dutchman have started to clash and fight against one another, causing an unleashing of ghostly mayhem all across Bikini Bottom. It will soon be up to SpongeBob and Patrick to gather all of their skills, bravery, and, dare I say, wit, in order to resolve the conflict to return the life back to Bikini Bottom for what passes as normal in their undersea home. Now, reception of this new SpongeBob adventure has seen some well-received reception with praise to the gameplay, story, and setting of the world, with its being faithful follow-up to Cosmic Shake, and for Battle Bikini Bottom Rehydrated as well. If you want to make it play for yourself, then it is available to play now on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch 2, and PC. And our final release of the week, have you ever wanted to be put into the mind and see through the eyes and hear the thoughts of an unhinged superhero? Well, the superhero part may be new to me. Won this last title, may just get that, as it's time for the Merc with the Mouth to get himself another game into this tool belt, but probably not in the form that you expected, as we have been given the release of Deadpool VR. And the game will be put into the role of the unhinged hero, who after a fight with Flag Smasher, DP falls through a portal into Mojo World, where he is enlisted by Mojo to kidnap several villains, including Lady Deathstrike, Mephisto, Omega Red, and Ultimo for his new reality show. Now, reception of this title seems to be well received, with praise on the controls, humor, and story of the title, though some feel may be appealing to play the title while it's not stuck as a VR only game. But if you want to play it for yourself, it is playable now on MetaQuest Free and Free S. And with all that regards now, that's all the new releases that we do have for this week.
Boat snack!
Now for trailers, and starting off in the focus of this week is to delve into a mystery, one that seems confusing, elaborate to figure out what or who is responsible for the death of a person, let alone a very holy man, where everyone seems to have a clear motive to take him out. But only one is responsible, and when all hope seems a bit messy, it will take one very dashing detective with quite a sudden twang for voice to do it once more, as with the release of the second and final trailer for the third film of the popular Knives Out series with Wake Up Dead Man. In a new film, we'll see Benoit Blanc find himself in the darkest case yet, as he finds himself investigating and sifting through a series of suspects when he learns a messenger who turns up dead under mysterious circumstances in his church. I feel around this time the original film for the drop that it saw a lot more of an appeal interest in the murder mystery, with an array of stars to the cast at the helm of this mystery, as the case a lot of these movies have proven to be an entertaining outcome to observe and enjoy, which was the first project from the man that people say was the sole reason downfall of Star Wars, which I feel is a bit harsh and seems to be said about most projects in this franchise since being acquired by Disney in 2012. But besides that, the point I can say from my enjoyment of the first two that I'm excited to see this trilogy capper, and maybe for some time until a reported fourth titles in the works. That's what I've been hearing from this week, especially with a strong reception, and it's a case not too long away, as film will be getting a limited cinema release in some locations from Wednesday this week on November 26th, before releasing onto Netflix on December 12th. Now, the second trailer technically goes in the form of the mini compilation teasers I talked on last week, as the focus went into the rules I have against short trailers. In this instance, must be longer 70 seconds, be an original official release, not be mostly footage of an original film or series, and released before my deadline of 2 weeks before a film comes out. But in this case, I'll be giving a focus of this, and any other planned teaser in the future will go to the approach of last week, as it only appeals my interest more in the outcome. But this is once again time to rate the annual turning of animated film into live action from Disney, and it seems this release between the versions are getting shorter, as this one is very slim in the release windows. We will be questioning how far this company will go, as we have the release for the teaser for the live action take on Moana. Now, this is of course based on the film of 2016 that follows the titular character, who is a Polynesian princess who decisions to travel across the vast oceans to see what lies beyond her home. Soon the chance comes to pass when her home begins to show signs of decay and despair from the removal of the heart of Te Fiti, and will soon go on a journey to locate the demigod Maui and restore the heart of the original place right before the world turns to ruin. So I've been a case more of a benefit of the doubt when it comes to these remakes, which you may see from my eventual rewatch of on these remakes. But with this one, it feels like this is done many more to the man of the rock himself, who reprises his role from the animated original to be remade due to the recent affair of films not doing so well financially and just being released when the original is not even 10 years old, or will be by release, concerns me in the form of how long it will be before the anime film comes out and a live action remake comes out about 6 months after its release, or even a remake of the remake happens. Besides the focus on new actors' performance, what I see is she does well, this one a bit more mixed on, but I guess I'll give it a look and see what comes about all when the film releases in the cinemas from July 10th of next year. Then from the high seas to the cosmos for the next trailer is a focused discussion of when the world is on the verge of possible decline and destruction. It will take a genius mind, a steady team, and a possible Hail Mary to find a chance to restore the universe from collapse. But it may come down to the one only person that may have a possible chance to do so as the time of the new look at the next cosmic journey with Ryan Gosling at the helm, with the release of the second trailer for the new film adaptation of Project Hail Mary. Now the film will follow Ryland Grace, played by Gosling, a school professor who awakens in a spacecraft with no memory of himself or his mission. When his memory slowly returns, he deduces that he's the sole survivor of a crew sent to the Taui Sentai solar system in search of a solution of a soon-to-be catastrophic event heading for Earth. Now in search for answers, he may soon rely on his vast array of scientific knowledge, sheer ingenuity, and human will. But he may soon realize he may not have to do this search alone. Now, I've heard a lot of differing opinions on this project, with some that read the novel feeling that it may still opportunity in some elements of the book, of characters, and some that see as being so far as saying the greatest film of next year, amongst other films they see as being the greatest film of next year that interchange constantly. To me, this looks like it has some interesting concept and output to the whole project in terms of the concept and visuals. They give it a bit of a style similar to the take on The Martian, which makes sense given the book of the author also wrote this book as well as The Martian, and there's a sense to me that maybe Laura Miller may work this out well in terms of making the concept like this work, but at the moment it's really kind of hard to say. Hopefully I'll have time to read the novel and compare it when I get the chance to, when this film releases in the cinemas from the 20th of March next year. Now for a trailer that I was not really expecting to see released this early, but seems to maybe deeper into development or finished the filming already for this, but it's hard to say. But we have another adaptation of a novel that releases earlier this year that will see the games begin once more. But in this case, this may be the sign of where they change forever, as this week we got the first official trailer for the adaptation of the Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping. Taking place 24 years before the events of the original novel and film, the new story follows young Hamish Abernathy, played by Joseph Sada, who is selected to compete in the 50th Hunger Games, or known as the Second Quarter Quell, where for this special edition of the games we'll see each district of Panam spend twice the number of tributes to the capital, who will all battle to the death in the annual games. So in the case of this, as one that has not seen any of the projects in the series, I can't really say much in the likes of my thoughts on this take, if it's good or not, but it seems most fans of the series are excited for it to be released and become part of their watch of the stories and novels over the years to follow. My main concern about this is the release of the trailer, given that the film is still a year out from release, and feel that releasing it too early will be too overly long, and if it's constantly advertised, the appeal will slowly wear off. So unless the case is the film gets an earlier release, it's hard to say, but I guess we'll see over time if it gets any form of change by the time the film releases on November 20th of next year. Our next trailer is bringing us back to a bit of animation, and from the favorite studio of mine, as well as in the instance the connection between humans and animals are about to become a whole lot more stronger, and the result of this new connection may be about to become a whole lot more crazier than expected, as we receive the new trailer for the upcoming new original movie from Pixar with hoppers. In the film we'll see a group of scientists from a university create a revolutionary machine that will invent a way for human brains to inhabit mechanical bodies, and will follow Mabel Tanaka, an animal-loving girl who will use her technology to put her mind into a robotic mechanical beaver and use it to communicate with the animals and help to stop a construction company's plot to destroy the local animal habitat. I've made a mention about this before in all this case, well, that while people say the studio has lost a sense of appeal and many say they are not as good as they once were, I'd be one to say that I'm still a big fan of this studio and always interested in how they come about with some of their fun and wacky ideas from the follow-ups and originals. There may be some similar stories that we have heard before, but still have some unique energy and design given to them. And given the case this new project is made by the creator of We Bare Bears, I feel it'll be well worth checking out in due time. And thankfully, it's not too far away from this release either, as the film will be linking its way into cinemas from the 6th of March. And our final trailer for this week is in the focus of things opinion that one approach that seems a little all over the place and a bit of a mystery, like the town that is of the focus in this project, but it's a case of a new video game adaptation coming to us from the world of an acclaimed horror title, as we receive the trailer for the release of the new film of Return to Silent Hill. Now, taking inspiration from Silent Hill 2, the film follows James Sunderland, who is devastated after the loss of his soulmate until one day he receives a mysterious letter that leads him back to a mysterious town of Silent Hill. However, he soon discovers the town has been changed by some unknown malevolent force. As he delves deeper into the town, he finds terrifying figures, both familiar and unknown. Doubting his mental stability, he tries to comprehend reality and hopes to stay strong enough to rescue his beloved. So the case of this project has been announced for well over 3 years ago, where I remember seeing this announcement after coming in from an event with someone I really still care about a lot, and being both intrigued by it and seems to be a case that some hope it could work out. Seeing it now in focus, I feel this trailer is a little better than the small teaser that came out a couple of weeks ago, though from the footage shown it looks a little hollow, but maybe the marketing could be a bit messy compared to other forms, but given the case of the release month, it's usually one where most movies go to die, but it could be a case that it could turn out more appealing than it, but it's still hard to say. I don't fully hate it and it has some sense of love put into this title. Maybe the appeal of the film version of the beloved sequel may still be present given the recent remake of the game had so much love, but I guess we'll have to see in due time. But the film's release in the cinemas in 2 months' time on January 23rd. But with all that regards, that's all the trailers we have for this week.
Hey, listen!
Well, we're starting off the news for this week in the case that it's that time of year again. It's getting colder, the days are shorter, and we're coming up to the last month of the year. And you know what that means? It's time to talk on the annual nomination for this year's Game Awards, that is of course hosted every year by Jeff Keighley. Now, in this instance, I'm not going to go too deep on the nominations or every category, but we'll save for the upcoming predictions video I'm going to have in the next few days. But for some of the titles, I can get unveiled the awards, as well as mention some fixes need to happen, but I'll get some highlights and opinions on some of them, so let's delve into it. So in the case, I will talk on the first one, which is the titles that were garnered the biggest award nomination for the year, as another 6 titles have garnered a well-earned spot on the Game of the Year award category. Now 6 games are Clair Obscur Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silk Song, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Now, all 6 of these have some solid choices and appeal, and if there's anything I can see, it's going in a freeway tie that is mainly going to the possible indie win for this year's title. I'm gonna have some opinions from some friends of mine. A few are against anything Nintendo, as it seems to be a sudden thing this year because of all the price chings and other stuff that they do, which I find it odd given it's only this year when Nintendo has been like this for them like this, but they've been like this for a very long time, as some people have pointed out, and seems to be mailing the agreement that this choice is winning the awards. I see a bit of a case as well. There could be also a pattern of recent years that may go to the game with the highest score on Metacritic, which is seen the last 2 years with Astro Bot last year and Baldur's Gate 3 2 years ago, so maybe could be again this year or could break the trend. Now, one I was surprised in the nominations is Kingdom Come, as I thought it would be to another earlier title this year of Split Fiction, but no sense. I'm kind of fine with these ones overall. But as for the games with the most nominations, the highest nominated on most of any of these award shows so far went to Expedition 33 with 12 nominations, leading the charge this year. Followed in second place with both Death Stranding 2 and Ghost Recon tied with 7 nominations, then with Hades 2 garnering 6 nominations, and running up the top 5 with Hollow Knight with 5 nominations, which I see as being some solid choices overall. Now, there have been some debate and issue of some titles being overlooked for a few categories deserving of a couple of awards more. With one of these big debates I've seen is with the title of Dispatch, as some were seeing it as seeing a few more than just one nomination, which got for debut indie game. It's also seen with if some of the other games have snubbed from any nominations or from some categories that had the chance, and with other titles like South of Midnight, Keeper, Silent F, Blueprints, and even in the case of game adaptation for Sonic 3, with the last one losing a spot to Minecraft, Last of Us Season 2, Devil May Cry, Splinter Cell, and Until Dawn. But maybe it could be added in the last minute if possible, but who really knows. Now, I may go into these games more in my predictions, but I see it being a solid outcome for these titles, and I will be delving into my predictions and seeing how many I'm more accurate with winning for another year, but stay tuned for that video piece when it comes along before the Game Awards on December 11th. But what do you make of these year's Game Awards? Do you think the choices are solid, or what would you pick as the winners for each category, and what would you have nominated in some of the roles places? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. As for our second story this week is more of a round of the mainly the focus of consisting of release date changes, announcements, project updates, and rumors that come about over last week, which will be quite an array to talk on. But let's delve into what we were shown off unveiled from this week. And we start off before we delve into any of the dates. We got one official first look on an upcoming project that already has a set release date for May 7th, 2027, and that's with the adaptation based on The Legend of Zelda. Now, they started filming in New Zealand a couple of weeks ago now, with the first hint of that came about from leaked footage of people stumbling across the set of the film that they were filming in some part of a forest or something like that, and thought it would have been just that as what we were expecting. However, this all changed as of Monday this week when the Nintendo Today app gave us our official first look at the lead 2 actors that come from, and I will say, from the first look, they do look pretty solid in design and aesthetic. Now, it's unclear which of the games they will be pulling from the first of these planned trilogies going off the attire. While Zelda's in her Breath of the Wild look, Link is wearing more of what looks like the tunic from Twilight Princess, so it could be like the first Mario film that took elements from different games and combined them together, but it's kind of unclear for now. Most of my other questions I do have was be who they have cast as the big bad of Ganondorf, or whoever the villain is, and in case of wondering if Link will talk in this movie or just stay mute like the games. But I guess we'll see over time as new announcements for the film comes about before its May 2027 release in due time. For one last focus of gaming for this week, we do have one official release date confirmation for an upcoming anticipated title, and that is from the studio of Tarsier Games, as announced earlier this week that the new horror of Reanimal has officially gotten itself a release date, with it now set for February 13th of next year for consoles and PC. Now this one seems to be highly anticipated after the acclaimed and unsettling nature of their original 2 Little Nightmares titles, and from their recent demo they released have many people excited for this new adventure, and may appease those that may felt the recent Little Nightmares Nightmares game was somewhat underwhelming, but I'm sure it'll be well worth to see if this all come about in due time, and I can't wait to play this new title when it comes out in about 3 months time. Now from confirmed releases to rumored ones for the next few stories, this one is somewhat confirmed, but the release is unknown as to when. There is some discussion or reports from James Cameron that the plans at some point to make a sequel to the 2019 adaptation of Alita Battle Angel with director Robert Rodriguez. They have mentioned they have some sort of a blood pact to make a follow-up in some regards. That's what I've heard. Now, when the likes of when we can expect this film is unclear, as it seems with Cameron that he is so caught up in making so many entries of their Avatar series that it's unknown as to when we would see this all come about in due time. As he has Fire and Ash this year, and then he has a case of 4 and 5 coming out in 2029 and 2031 respectively, and there are reports that he's making a film on a book about the man who survived the atomic bomb, both atomic bombs in Japan in the mid-40s by sheer luck. But the likes of the film releasing in between the Avatar films and that book adaptation will be interesting to see if it does release, but in this decade or by the 2030s at the latest. But I guess we'll see in due time. And if there's any updates about this project, I will of course let you know in a later episode. Then the next of the reported continuations is the focus of a film that was a big summer smash at this year's box office, as it made time to start your engines once more, as it's been reported earlier this week that a sequel to F1 may be in the works. Now, in the likely cases, they may see the return of Brad Pitt and Damson Idris in the lead roles once more in some form, and the main director of Joseph Kosinski back behind the camera in the director's chair, but nothing has been finalized yet. Now, this also has been discussion since the release of the film back in June, and has been seen the case as some discussion that may see an appearance of one Tom Cruise, who also got his honorary Oscar this year as well, also appearing in the follow-up that may be seen as a possible sequel to F1, but also to Days of Thunder. But this latter story is currently unknown if this is still a case. Now, as well as this is all reported, nothing has been made official as of yet, but in the case of anything new does come about this project, I shall provide that in a later episode. And as for the last that is just rumored reports, is one in the realm of animation, as there has been some discussion that a planned third film for Puss in Boots may also be in works at DreamWorks, with Antonio Banderas reported to be back in the famous feline. Now in this case, I would not say no to a possible third film of this, on the basis of just one condition, and that is the film has the same style and appeal that The Last Wish provided in its entertainment value, its visuals, its characters, and its story, because it could go to the wayside, but if they're able to strike lightning twice with this one, then I'm all for it happening. Now, like the last story, it is still a rumor as well, but if there's any case of an update of this being a thing, then I shall provide that in a later episode as well. And for one last rumored but possibly confirmed project is taking us to the realm of a galaxy far, far away. As well, we have known the next project in the series of Star Wars is with the new film based on the popular series of The Mandalorian and Grogu. Many assume that the film would serve as a conclusion to the overall narrative started back in 2019, but that seems to be no longer the case, as according to series creator Jon Favreau, it seems that a 4th season of the series is on the way and will follow on after the events of the movie, with a script for his season already set in stone and in his office. Now, this could be something to throw people off that the 4th season plot is actually the script for the movie, but as things stand right now, it's unclear as to what will come for this ordeal and if the story of this bounty hunter and his precious cargo will continue. For now, all we can do is wait and see what will come of a 4th season after the events of the film, and if anything does come about that, of course we'll find in a later episode. Now, on the likes of confirmed renewals and delays, the first project and the only renewal is with a new video game adaptation, as it seems the success of this Madcap series adaptation will be serving up more carnage in the future, as was announced this week that Twisted Metal will be renewed for a 3rd season on Paramount or Peacock, whatever the case is. Now, this could be where it just ends, but is seeing a bit more of a shakeup, as it was also confirmed the series will be helmed by a new showrunner in the form of David Reed, known for his work on The Boys and Supernatural, which makes it seem like it could be in some good hands and go more over the top and craziness. Now, in that case, I can see with the project is that the series will most likely start production some point early next year, and released in the later half of next year or early 2027 at the latest, but I guess it's kind of unknown at this point, but if anything does change in development or get a release window, you of course know I'll get a release date for that aspect as well. And as for the only delay in the confirmed from this week, it was announced that the new series from the DC universe of Lanterns has been delayed just slightly, with the series delayed to a later summer 2026 release from initial early 2026. This I can understand the focus of giving it a decent spot in the HBO Max lineup, with the front to half taken up by the likes of 2 Game of Thrones spin-offs of the Light of the Seven Kingdoms and House of Dragon Season 3, and probably some other big shows to be giving us a late summer release may fit more for the success of the 2 DC shows of recent memory of Peacemaker Season 2 and The Penguin. So I'm sure we will see what will come about this series in due time. As of now, the release month or date is unclear, but you can bet once they confirm it, I will provide it. And as for projects that seem to be given the chopping block for the moment, and the first is a damn shame, and one I meant to talk on last week, but it was announced that the popular Rian Johnson-led series of Poker Face was cancelled after 2 seasons of Peacock. Now, despite the 2 seasons garnering some very strong reception, the viewer numbers of the series, mainly its second season, were not that overly strong and probably saw the cut from it. plus the case the series was expensive to make as well, given the case of the names behind it. Now, it's not where this is planning to end, as it seems Johnson as well as executive producer Natasha Lyonne are looking to shop it around to other networks and streamer services in the process. And it does get picked up again, we'll also see a bit of a change in the lead star, as it seems to plan that with every 2 seasons, they'll be recasting the lead character Charlie with a new star, with the first planned actor to portray it after Lyonne is with Peter Dinklage. Now, whether this will also create a different alternative story to the 2 seasons prior to be continued plot, with the moment being her on the run from the FBI, is sort of anyone's guess. Hopefully the series will get a chance to continue, as I enjoyed both seasons produced, but if anything does change, I shall provide that later on down the line. Now, as for the last of the project that was initially reported or as cancelled but has been clarified to still be planned to be made some point, it was announced on Thursday this week that the planned R-rated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film of The Last Ronin has been currently shelved and put on hold at Paramount, which has been done with the new head of the company, with all this starting to sound a little like Warner Bros. 3 years ago, with the shelved some projects for the claim of possible potential for tax write-offs. Now, in the process of all this news, it's reported that while they are still allowed the follow-ups to Mutant Mayhem to be made, they're also planning another live-action family-friendly version of the Turtles to be made first, with the focus being held by one of the producers of the acclaimed Sonic trilogy, so it looks like the ordeal of them wiping out another anything Turtle-related has not been done as of yet. Now, do I see the darker TMNT films still be made in the future? It's kind of unclear right now, but I will not say it's not without a chance, and I can see it gets some appearance in the future and see some success in the process for this brand, but it's unknown for the moment. But in the case of any new updates, I should provide that as well in another episode. But with all that, guys, now what do you make of all these stories? Which games or stories will you tackle in the Zelda film? Are you excited for Reanimal? Would you watch sequels to Alita, F1 and Puss in Boots? Would you be down for 4th season of Mandalorian? Will the change of showrunner for Twisted Metal work in its favor? Are you excited for the Lantern series? And do you see both Poker Face and Last Ronin have a chance to be made and continue? Let me know what you think down below and we can discuss all about them there, but with all that regards now, that's all the news stories that we have for this week.
I didn't know that was happening.
And okay, so with all of that regards now, that ends episode 143 of Weird Mind Newsroom, and I do hope you enjoy my ramblings once again, but I hope you enjoy the other long ramblings as I always do. Now, I'm just going to quick fire run through all the kind of updates to come along for this channel. So starting off with reviews, case I've started to delve more back into the reviews for Last of Us. I'm probably going to get working on Wicked, and I'm going to get working on season 2 of Hazbin Hotel. That just wrapped up there recently this week, so I'll probably get onto working on that over the next couple of days or so, or hopefully try and get them all out by the end of this year, so at least I have some long form reviews. The short ones of like some snack size box office ones I have for If, Civil War, and How to Train Your Dragon, and probably a few other ones I might throw in there I will get to as well. They'll probably upload in the next couple of days, and I can add at least 2 more films to the list of reviews I have, which is both Predator Badlands and The Running Man. I saw Predator last weekend and I saw Running Man just earlier today. I like both of them. I have mixed bits and pieces on some aspects, but both are all pretty solid, but I will get to those reviews in due time. Gameplay wise as well then, I'm going to get back to recording some gameplays. I just haven't had the time done for this week in regards to I was all over the place and busy and I was exhausted with last bit things, you know. Basically, I'll get back to doing some DK Bonanza, some Cyberpunk, some Mario Wonder, some Star Wars, and a few other games as well, from like the Ventilate or other games on like the PC and other consoles and stuff like that. I will get to regards to things. I'm working some bits around, so look forward to those in due time. And then long forms as well. I've already mentioned the Case Instance Rewatch Fun will be coming along eventually. The Case Instance AI audience choice video will be happening. That's still happening. It's going to come along eventually. I will get to that Game Awards video at some point before the release on December 11th. The time-lapse video of Optimus Prime done probably in the next couple of days. So I've done day 1 of that. I need to get back to finishing the rest of it, as well as a case of some other bits and pieces like the Harmless Boar and other bits and pieces. They're all going to come along, so look forward to those. I'll have the time to do so. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to leave the episode there for now. So as always, if you like what you see here, want to see more from me more frequently as well, of more content, then simply like and subscribe. I'm aiming for 500 subs by the end of this year. We're slowly getting up there, but any support and appreciation, I appreciate every single one of you, from day ones, longtime fans, people that may have disappeared are always welcome back, and all other forms. So yeah, and also newcomers as well, welcome in. As well as the case, let me know your thoughts on everything that's discussed this week down below, from all the new releases, trailers, and news stories, and give me your thoughts on everything discussion. If there's anything that piqued your interest or want to see more about, or opinions on things of that. But in this regards, I'm going to leave the episode there for now, because I think I've rambled on long enough and I need to kind of wrap this bits up before I get up for work in the morning. But anyways, as always, you all stay wonderful people, have a great day every day, do many great things, and keeping you because no one else can do what you do. Of course, I've been your host Sam as always, and I shall see you all in the next episode. So take care, and I shall see you later.